Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another video. So in this video we will discuss what is Git and what is GitHub. So this would be an official introduction to Git and GitHub. Why am I doing this video? Because if you're willing to be a programmer, so you would write some code and make changes to it. So once you make changes, there would be different versions of your code on your system. So for managing those versions of your code, you would need the Git version control system, because it's really nice and it's really easy to use, and it's really helpful in order to keep track of the versions of your code. So you can create a project and then store its different version in the form of different snapshots of your code using the Git version control system. So let's explore what is Git. Well, Git is a free and open source distributed version control system designed to handle everything from a very small project to a very big project. Git is really easy to learn. You can just come over to the git.scm.com. Once you come over here, you can see that you can just go through this documentation and you will find all of the things you need to know. In this video, I will also show you how to use Git. Don't worry, just follow along and you will learn everything about Git. But just to introduce Git, who uses Git? Well, there are tons of companies like Google, Facebook, all of these big corporates, these uses the Git. Now, a lot of people confuses Git with GitHub. Well, these are both completely different things. So if you're willing to version control your code, you will use Git. But if you're willing to host your code online and share it with your other fellow developers, you can use GitHub for that. So GitHub is a website, or in other words, you can say a web application used to host your code online, while the GitHub is the version control system you would use either online or offline. Alternatively to GitHub, you can also use the bitbucket. It's the same thing, just a different company. But just do note that Git and GitHub are not the same thing. They are completely different. The Git is used to locally store your different snapshots of your code, while the GitHub is used to host your code online. So that is just a little bit difference between Git and GitHub. And let's see how you would use the Git. So the first thing would be to go and download this Git version control system. Once you download it on your system, it would just look something like this, git bash. Once you press enter, a console will get opened to you. Now in this console, you will navigate to wherever you want to create your repo. So in my case, I will go to C and then my Python projects. And here I will create a new directory. Once I create this directory, I will just cd into git demo. Now I'm inside the Git demo. So in order to create a new repository in Git, what I will do, I will write git init, and my repository would be initialized. So that's the one step you can create your Git repository on your local system. Now the next step would be to add a new file to my repository that I have just created. So let's create a new file. In order to create a new file, you will write touch new file.txt and press enter. Now if I ls, you can see that a new file has been created once I ls that, but right now it's not the part of our Git or our commit, because this change is not staged yet. And one of the most confusing parts when you are first learning the Git is the concept of staging and the staging environment and how it relates to commit. Now let's explore what is staging and what is a commit. A commit is a record of what file you have changed since the last time you have made a commit. Essentially, you made changes to your repo, for example, adding a file or adding a file, in our case, this new file.txt, or in other cases, it would be modifying a file and then telling the Git to put these files into commits. So commit make up the essence of your project and allow you to go back to the state of the project at any point. So how do you tell Git which file to put into a commit? This is where the staging environment or indexing comes in. As you have seen previously that we have added a file to our repo, when you make the change to your repo, in our case we added a file, Git notices that a file has been changed or added, but it won't do anything with it. Like as I have said, right now it's not the part of our Git repository. To add a file to our repository or to commit it to our repository, you first need to add it to the staging environment. To do this, you will need to come over to the console and write git add. Once you press enter, you would see that it will ask for a file or anything that you have added. So there are one or multiple ways to do that. The first step would be to write git add and -- all. So what that will do, it will add all of your changes to your commit. The second thing would be to do everything separately, and that is to write git add and then write the name of the file. So these are two ways. But before adding this file to our commit, let's first check. Before doing that, let's first check the status of our repository and then add it to the Git. So in order to check the status of Git, I will write git status and press enter. So it will show me that on the branch that is master, and we will discuss the branches later in this video. But right now, just understand that on the master branch, there are no commits yet because we haven't made any commits, but we just added a new file by the name of new file.txt, and that is not yet added to our commit. But the changes has been tracked by this repository. So in order to make a commit, I will just write git commit and then give it a message, because and this message is really important to you, because later when you mess something up in your code and you want to get back to some point, so these would be the messages that you will track your code with. So you need to be careful with these messages, because later on if you write some message like this, you won't be able to understand what this commit was about or what was in this commit. So if you give something meaningful, that this is our first commit and you need to be sensible with these commits, so something like that. So later in your code, later in your project, once you're willing to go back and forth with these commits, so you would understand from these messages what you are doing or what you have done. So in this commit, we added new file.txt, and I will just press enter. So once I make this commit, you would see that on branch initial commit and with this message, and this new file.txt is now part of our repo. So now we have committed this new file.txt to our repository, but it's not yet the part of our online code, or we haven't pushed it to our GitHub repository. We will do in a minute, but before doing that, let's understand the branching concept of a repository. So as previously said, we have right over here this master branch. Branching is a concept a little bit more advanced. So say you want to make a new feature, but you are worried about making changes to this main project, which is your master branch, while developing the feature. So this is where the branches concept comes in. Branches allows you to move back and forth between the states of your project. For instance, if you want to add a new page to your website, like suppose you have a website and you want to add a new page to your website, you can create a new branch for that new page. Without affecting the main part of the project, you can create a new branch for that, and you can push all of the code of that page there. Once you are done with the project, you can then merge your code or merge your branches together with the master. Your changes from the branch into the main master branch. You can create a new branch very easily. Git keeps track of which commit your branch, like Git will know, as I have said, that right over here we were working with the master branch, and you can also see that we are in the master branch. So right now whatever I do, if I commit some code, if I add it, if I push it to the push it online, it will push it to my master branch, and I can go back and forth with these branches. So right now you can see that I'm on the master branch, and we made a commit to a master branch. Right now, in order to create a new branch, what I will do, I will write git check out -b and then name my branch whatever I want. So let's name it new branch in order to keep things very simple. So now you can see that previously I was on the master branch, but now I have moved to this new branch. So now whatever I do, if I add a new file, suppose I write touch new file in new branch, and if I ls, you would see that we do have two files. But if I check status, git status, you will see that we have two files right over here on the new branch, and there are no commits yet on this new branch, but we do have one commit over on the master branch. If I make whatever changes right over here, the master branch won't know this. Like if I commit this file to this new branch, the master branch won't get disturbed, and later on we can merge this new branch with the old one. So this is a little bit information about the branches. We'll discuss these branches later on in our later videos in the course, but just do note that you can create branches, and every branch would store the different snapshot of your code, and master branch is used to store your main code, while the child branches are used to store different types of your code, and then you can merge all of your branches together in order to combine your code. And these branches are used to create small features which are not yet completed and which you are not sure about, and which you are like which are things that will disturb your project or something like that, or you are just afraid about. So Now that we know a little bit about Git, the version control system, now let's also explore so what you can do, you can create a new account in the GitHub in order to store your code online. I already have an account, so I will just log into it, and I do have all these repositories right over here on the GitHub. So these are all public. You can just come over here and see this. This is where I store my code for YouTube and other stuff. So some of them are local, some of them are public, some of them are private, and that's a different topic that we will discuss later on. So in order to create a new repository right over here online, you can just click on this new and it will create, and the repository name would be, so what did we give it locally? It was Git demo. So let's make it online as well. So it's Git demo, and you can write some description. This is a repo for demonstration and stuff like that. So I'll just press the create repository, and the repository has been created. Now in order to merge this online and offline repositories, now there are one of many ways that you can initialize this GitHub repository. But as we have created one offline, so let's initialize it from there. So I'll write git remote. So I'll write git remote add origin, and I will explain this origin in a minute, but let's just copy and paste the URL of the repository we have online, and once I press shift and enter, it will just initialize our repository with the online one. So now once the repository gets initialized, and if you're doing it like for the first time, the GitHub will also ask for a password. In my case, it didn't, because I frequently use this repository with I frequently use this GitHub with this system, so that's why it didn't ask for the username and password, but in your case it might. Now let's push the newly created branch, which is our new branch, to this online. As I have said, our code is not yet online. You can see that this online repository is empty. So in order to push your branch, what you do, you would write get push origin, and I will explain this origin in a minute, but let's just write new branch. Once I come over here and press enter on this get push origin, now it's giving us an error because we need to initialize this new branch from the master. So we were facing some error with pushing our code, and that was pushing the branch to the remote. So I could have just edited out these errors from the video, but in order to make you understand that later on in future you would face these kinds of error, so I just wanted to sort it out in front of you. So what I did was I tried to push the master branch as well as this remote branch. So both of them were giving the same error, and it was because we didn't add everything to our commits. So what I did, I wrote down git add all of the files to my repository, and then or to the new branch, and then I git committed everything, and once I git committed, and then try to git push the branch to then I wrote down git push add the branch to remote repository, then it did added the branch to the repository. Now if I come over to this online, you would see that our new file and new file branch is right over here. So right over here you can see that we have just one branch, which is this new branch. The master is not yet pushed right over here. So let's push the master branch right over here as well. And we need to go back to the master branch, git checkout -b master, and we are now in the master branch. So let's also add git add dot, and now git commit -m pushing to remote, press enter, and now let's just push it to remote. And now our master branch is also right over here. So you can see that we do have 3 branches. One is this master branch and the other one is this new branch. So, and it also shows us which branch is active. So now if I come over here and try to check this master branch, you would see that we have these files right over here. So this is it for the branches. So now let's also explore this this pull request we have seen right over here. So what is this pull request? Well, pull request is something when something outside, like I am the administrator of this repository, but if someone else is willing to contribute to my code or this repository, so what they will do, they will either clone this repository and push their changes directly, or they can just create a pull request and then push their code to this pull request to this specific branch. And once I approve that pull request, then the changes will get merged to this repository. So this is a little bit about this pull request. In order to create new pull request, what you will do, you will come over here to the branch and you will create the new pull request, whichever is your active repository. So in order to create pull request, you will just click on this new pull request and the pull request will get created, and then you can merge that pull request with your code. So that is something for another time. We will do that. Okay, so now that we have understood what pull request is, what branches are, and what this other stuff are, now let's understand, if you're working in a team, you need to pull somebody else's code, because I have pushed my code to remote and the other person has also pushed his code to remote. But now we are willing to merge our code together on our local system, because I'm not aware of his code and he is not aware of my code. In order to merge everything, or in order to receive the online code to your local system, what you will write, git pull origin and master, whichever branch you want to pull the code from. So once you do that, it will pull everything from the remote and it will show you right over here. Suppose there was nothing I could have pulled, because nothing was changed online, but let's just create a new file online and new online file.txt, and let's write something and now commit it. So once you commit and you check on local, the git status, you would see that you don't have anything changed right over here on your local system. But if you check right over here something is indeed changed. We did made another commit. So in order to get this commit, and if I ls right over here, you can see that we don't have this third file which was created remotely, which was this new file online. So in order to get this, you would just write get pull origin master, and it will pull this pull the current code. So now if I ls, and I think I created that into the new branch, which was so it's not in the master branch. If I switch over to master branch, the file is not there, it's a new branch. So we do need to pull this new branch as well. And these branches concept will be a little bit confusing in first, but later on it will be a lot more easier to work with these Git and GitHub. So now if I ls, you would see that our new file, our new online file is in our repository as well. So this is pretty much it for the GitHub. I hope you did understood what I wanted to show you. In the first, it will be a little bit confusing, but no need to worry. This is a very long video, I know, but in order to make you fully understand what Git and GitHub was, I needed to do these things. I needed to make this pull request and stuff like that. So it was important, you know, but once you understand, once you practice with these 2 to 3 times, I hope everything would be really clear and really easy to you. So until the next time, enjoy hacking or programming, whatever you are doing. Stay cheeky breaky and peace out.